here the evident enough that the 22% the entrepreneurs are belonging to these communities, those who are disadvantaged for centuries. Similarly, the OBC, other backward classes communities, you can see the figure. So equality opportunities is also promoted, not only through these actions and interventions by the government and state governments, but also it has been guaranteed in our constitutions. When you look at the Indian constitutions, they take into account the women, children, different backward communities, socially and economically backward. And more clause and amendments are yet to come. There are a lot of representations of socio-economically disadvantaged groups in education and in the politics. When you look at even the different type of our state assembly and legislations and during poll time, you will see that a lot of reservations are there for the women, for the different backward communities. And the purpose is to ensure their active participations in mainstream so that they feel that they are contributing for the development of mankind, and they themselves are here feeling responsibility that how they can take forward their communities. So these are the initiatives have been taken by our government. Similarly, there are also social protection measures have been taken to reduce the inequality in our country. You look at the National Social Assistance Program, NSAP, that provides pension to the elderly widows and the persons with disabilities. And this is, the taking care of this community, because otherwise they are vulnerable to the exploitations in a society. The programs aims at the universal coverage and accord special priority to the vulnerable groups like transgender groups, persons affected by leprosy, AIDS, cancer, TB, and other serious ailments, and families affected by the natural or other disasters. Similarly, the universal health protections with the name of the Ayushman Bharat scheme has been provided, the free and quality healthcare services under an annual insurance cover of $6,066 to the 100 million families, almost 500 million people from the economically weaker sections. And this scheme also covered the testing and treatment for the COVID-19 as well. So you can see how deeply the government and their policymakers are thinking into these directions and ensuring that the Indian citizens are accessing to the opportunities and availing the different type of the facilities available to them. The social security support has been greatly supplemented by the major programs. Look at the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. This is for the insurance schemes for life insurance purpose. Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. This is for the accident insurance scheme by the Indian government. And Atal Pension Yojana. This is for the monthly pension for unorganized sector workers. You can understand how this government is looking for the governmental and non-governmental sectors, public sectors and private sectors, and taking into account these workers deprived and disadvantaged, living under the poverty line, below poverty line, and how they can ensure that they are being taken care by the government. Life and personal accident insurance schemes have now achieved an outreach of 254.5 million subscribers and has more than 22.3 million subscribers. You can understand how far this is very successful and accessible to the needy one. The enrollment percentage of women in the unorganized sectors with respect to total enrollment under the Atal Pension Yojana has seen an increase from 37 to 43% in the last 3 years. That shows how they have been implemented and they are able to realize their purpose and serving their purpose to the needy people. For that has been designed. Similarly, the financial inclusions have been ensured. A massive mobilization of 67 million rural women, ratio 6.1 billion entrepreneurship-based self-help groups, SHG. This is very successful. And you can say if you want to raise the level of the women from the bottom to top, how we can uplift their levels, this is playing a key role in the rural and hinterlands. Making banking services accessible to the historically unbanked populations at large scale. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, it was a scheme that has a potent instrument for financial inclusion. 382.5 million bank accounts have been opened up. with more than half belonging to women. And that's a success. You can see the unbanked population, especially women, now they are on the account holders and they have an account. So the schemes and the economical assistance, financial assistance can be provided to them in a legal manner and in a justified, genuine manner. The Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana supports entrepreneurs by providing credit to micro and small enterprises. So here you can understand this is the you can say richest and a poor divide. They can bridge a gap. These schemes help break barriers to easy credit and other financial services. And that's why you can say that it empowers the peoples in vulnerable situations. They are sustainable migration and migrant-friendly support systems. That also helps to reduce the inequality. And you know, migration is a problem not only within country, but during COVID time, I think at global level in various countries, we have seen this. Migration has always been a result of mismatch between quantitative and qualitative aspects of labor supply and demand. It has exposed migrants to labor markets and uncertainty and social security risk. The COVID-19 pandemic reduced lockdown of economic activities and it impacted the migrant labor. Between 2001 to 11, interstate labor mobility averaged between 5 and 6 million persons per year. Railway passengers data analysis suggests an annual interstate migration flow of close to 9 million persons between 2011 and 2006. And you understand these data help us to understand and also ensure that these migrant laborers have not been actually treated badly, and they are provided the equal assistance and financial supports, and their job losses are not done. Sustainable migration and migrant-friendly support system. It's a database that it's important to keep the tape on these activities. So a lot of things are there. The purpose is to ensure that their job is intact, that their children get the basic educations, and their healthcare facilities and the other social entitlements have been kept intact, and they are able to sustain their life under the difficult circumstances like COVID-like situations. Here are some facts and which you easily can absorb in. That you look at the India's response to COVID-19 crisis includes a package of $279 billion US. We are heading towards the inclusion of all and taking care of the all sections. 2.96% of union budget allocated for SC and ST welfare schemes, that is scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities, backward communities, economically backward and socially backward communities in 2017-18, from 2.47% to 2015-16. 64% transgender LFPR of male LFPR. Similarly, Mudra Yojana, you here can see that this is for the assistance for entrepreneur, is also providing a help and assistance to the small finance entrepreneur. 48% of loan accounts belong to the person belonging to these communities, SC, ST, and OBCs. 62% especially for women. So that is, here, the things to be taken into account. 28.3% seats in state legislative assemblies occupied by persons, they belong to these backward communities. Again, you can see here the measures to ensure the equality in our society. And 44.4% seats in the Panchayati Raj institutions held by women. Panchayati Raj institutions, it means the schemes and a system that is designed for the rural development and rural political and a bureaucratic system where the elected, the people, those who are selected by the people through electoral process, they assume the charge and help to put into practice the government schemes. Similarly, the monitoring has been required for everything, whether these schemes have been into practice, whether they are fructifying or not. And similar thing happens that we have some scores. Overall index score for the country is 64, and it ranges between 19 and 94. And it is, here the pleasing that between 33 and 94 for the UTs, for union territories, on a scale of 0 to 100. So these are some economical factors. Those who are not there may not be able to understand abstract thing. But here you can see that at monitoring level, we are performing good. There are some good practices which needed to take into account. That is the Sukrati scheme, one of the scheme. It means the approved scheme and the recognition. The scheme was formulated by the government of Odisha. It is one of the state in the country, and provide equal opportunities and protect the rights for the transgender communities. It is dealing with the skill upgradation, entrepreneurship, and scholarships, healthcare for critical illness, and the legal counseling aid and guidance. So these are the few things. A smart card is also provided to all transgender persons, which enables enrollment in schemes and provides a service. So here you can see that the inequality is in various forms. It's not just, we talk about the income disparity, it's not just the social backwardness, it's more than that. You know that we are living in an age where we find the inequality surrounds us. There are many even developed countries where this inequality is in existence. I mean, that is superficially, you see that it is disappeared. But when you look at there, it's a matter of mentality. I would rather say that the people needed to be educated, and they be instilled the moral education, the ethical educations by their parents, and they be given the environment, and so that they understand that how far these life is interdependent. None of us can be independently functions and can consume the sources available in this world. So even this is for the consumption, this is for the production, this is for the, I mean, the education and health, and for the other purposes. With these words, I would like to say thank you, all of you, for providing me opportunity to share my perspectives over the inequalities and how far our country, India, where we have ensured through our different schemes, they can bring the change into our lives, and as well as provide assistance and help to achieve the good cause, noble cause of the United Nations and UNDP for achieving this goal 10, for reducing inequalities not only within country but also amongst the countries. Thanks indeed, Supriya ma'am, and the all passionate listeners, and for your patience as well. Thanks indeed. Thank from Prestige Institute of Management, Devas.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful and a thoughtful presentation. Actually, in your speech, you presented lots of research facts and the data related to the reduced inequalities. So, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you, ma'am.
yes, sir. So, just hold on. I am giving you a spotlight. Yes, sir. Please do this gesture, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Thank you, ma'am.
much. Okay.
Thank you.
So, without wasting time, I would like to request Dr. Gunjan Shukla, head of the department, Ranasa University, for further proceeding. So, Dr. Gunjan Shukla, now the stage is yours, ma'am. Here, I would like to request again, technical team, please make co-host Dr. Gunjan Shukla.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, loud and clear.
Yeah.
Sorry for keep waiting, ma'am.
Not a problem, ma'am. That
Yeah,
was some
here,
very.
yes, first of all, here I would like to announce that Dr. Gunjan Shukla is celebrating her birthday today. So, ma'am, thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us, and wish you a very great day, ma'am. Wish you a
Thank
very
you
great
so
day.
much, ma'am. Thanks for all the wishes. And I am really feeling honored to present my views on sustainable development goals, because this is something which is very close to my heart, be it goal 1 or be it goal 17 or goal 12, whatever. So I completely feel so connected, because I feel, that every time it's not about discussion, it's about taking actions. So whatever we are discussing, we should always implement and execute all those things. So hereby I request you all that kindly please listen to me and try to make changes around you. We will be talking about, let me share my screen first. Okay, so is my slide visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want to say that when we say that the 17 sustainable development goals recognize that actions in one area will affect the outcomes in another area. I mean, all the goals are linked to each other. So let's see how sustainable development goal provide an integrated roadmap for sustainable development overall. Although we have discussed several goals in last few days, but I feel this goal has its own importance. You know why? Because it says that reduce inequality means no poverty, no hunger, good health, well-being, a better infrastructure, and so on. So I believe if we can work on it, we can attain other goals as well. So somewhere I feel that goal 10 is a holistic approach. Hi everyone, I Dr. Gunjan Shukla takes opportunity to present my talk on goal 10, reducing inequality. The objective of my presentation is to draw your attention on the important aspects to reduce inequality. Let's make the world a better place and try to overcome the issues. So do you think we can bring change only by economic growth, only by talking about GDPs, or only by having good infrastructure, or by having responsible consumption and production? No, it equally needs, kind of change in the thoughts of people. Somewhere I feel that as I'm saying that it's a holistic approach. So I would like to mention here that you all can see in my slide that goal 10th is equally connected to goal 1589 here when it comes to employment, economic development, sustainable development. When it comes to other goals like capacity building, information communication, technology, finance, when it comes to environment, climate change, goal number 6, 7, 11, 15, when it comes to peace, governance, justice, sustainable development goal 16, when it comes to food security, nutrition, healthcare, education. So I'm talking about goal 2nd and goal 5. I completely believe that it's a holistic approach. If you are working for reducing inequality, you are working for overall development and overall attainment of whatever target has been given by United Nations to be complete to get accomplished by 2030. So I feel why I said that a change in thought is required. Every time it is not about money, but yes, also the way we treat people, the kind of thoughts we carry for others, comparison we do for ourselves. It's time to create balance in the society, in thoughts, and overall development. My dear friends, this is a time where we need change. Yes, I want to say that, it's all about the psychology of people. We should not compare ourselves. We should not compare the living standards. We should not compare the, different classes of the society. We need to think for the overall well-being. We should count our blessings. We need to invest in empowering women. We need to invest in agriculture. We need to redefine the workplace laws. We need to work on overall part of improving the happiness, because somewhere I feel that a country can only flourish when it is about within country or across the border, across the globe. When we are talking about the development of countries, we are equally talking about the happiness part, the happiness index of the country. So we should also take into consideration that thing, because it has not been said anywhere, or it has not been proved yet, that if any country has high amount of GDP or high ratio of GDP, is equally having a lot of happiness and people are flourished. That will be, I'll be discussing in my slides in a few minutes. Dear friends, every time I mention that it's high time to bring change, so let's be responsible citizens. I'm sure you all may agree with you all will agree with me that with education and skills and more job opportunities can be provided to is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. You
My
are in a, yes,
slides are
yes.
visible?
Changes is needed to overcome, right? You are in this slide.
Yes. Completely.
Sure, ma'am. Please go ahead.
So I'm sure you all may agree with me that with education and skills, more job opportunities can be provided to all the groups of society. Also, main mechanism through which inequality can be reduced is giving open access of educational opportunities for children from poor socioeconomic backgrounds and focusing on skill development. So when we are developing skills, people are becoming more, they will get more employment opportunities, and somehow will be able to reduce that income gap also, that economic gap also can be reduced in the society. Inequality, when we say, is not only about economy, but also about the social inequality, political inequality, and so on, needs to be taken care. Social inequality refers to differential access to and use of resources in various domains, like, as I mentioned before, health sector, education, occupation, that results in disparities across gender, race, ethnicity, and different class of the society. I mean, right to education is everyone's right. Equal distribution of natural resources is everyone's right. Availability of clean water is everyone's right. Living space, don't you think is important to survive? Yes, of course. The Sustainable Development Goal calls for reducing inequality in income as well as based on age, gender, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economy, or any other status of the country. Here I wish to count happiness index for the country as well, as I mentioned before, because I believe that the culture of the country and the mindset of the people help in reducing the inequality amongst people in the society. I want to mention one incident which happened with me recently. I was invited to celebrate Women's Day at a place. So as every now and then I used to visit that place. I was quite aware of the staff of that place, and I was knowing the peon. She's a lady who is working as a peon at that office. While entering to the office, I wished her Happy Women's Day, and I asked her to accompany me for the celebration. While moving ahead, few people standing near me, they, what they said? They said, ma'am, she's not invited and she is just part of helping staff. So don't you think there is an inequality in the thoughts of people, which we need to work upon? My objective of giving this presentation is not to present all the data, all the reports, all the whatever work has been done, all the big graphs. I don't want to discuss the major aspects, but I believe if you want to make a big change, you need to take small steps. I believe that if I put up a question, what is opposite of poverty and inequality, I may get an answer. It's wealth generation, it's income, it's removing gender inequality, etc. But I believe the answer should be justice. Yes, justice in all aspects. Let's not judge anyone by designation. The kind of standard person maintains for his or her living. Living standard should not be judged. We should always judge any person by the behavior. In fact, in overall sustainable development, it is also an equal contribution of people towards the attainment of goal. We should not just keep discussing, presenting the policies, the targets, and all those things. But I feel that this is the time we need to bring the change. In fast-moving life, we somewhere forgot that we are human beings. And believe me, if you want to see the change, be the change. This is the time to change the mindset. We need to be a holistic person. It's not about perfection, dear friends. It's about connection we have. Let's break the stereotype. Let's think as human beings. There is a huge gap in income level of the people in society. And there is a group of people struggling for resources and a group of people wasting them. If I talk about kind of waste generation and pollution, I can, several research reports can prove that high income group people create lot of carbon emission, they create lot of pollution, they use 2, 3, 4 vehicles at a time, and there are people who don't have vehicles, they are low income group, they reside in small houses, they don't lead to any such kind of waste or pollution creation. But then when it comes to natural calamities or any kind of destruction or flood or anything, this low income group people suffer like anything. Don't you think this is inequality? Don't you think this is injustice? I have seen people buying bags of $500 with no bargain, but when it comes to buying stuff from small vendors, they do bargain. Rich is becoming richer and poor is getting poorer. Dear friends, the sense of comparison is part of psychology of the people. Often we look at our neighbors and make such comparisons that one of the way we decide how good our life is. We keep comparing with our neighbors, we keep comparing with our friends, so that comparison should be stopped. We generally think that reducing inequality means if country is growing in GDP, certainly the living standard of poor people is growing to increase like anything, but it's a myth. Let me tell you, GDP gives a very small impact when it comes to reducing inequality of the classes of the society, high income group or low income group. There's a very small impact. Growth benefits the poor just as everyone else. It's a myth, or we must focus on ending poverty may address many issues. Everything here go hand in hand. So inequality is upcoming and major issue for the development of country and their well-being. When we say reducing inequality, we are talking about the well-being of countries in various aspects, because so many targets has been given to us in each goal. Here also we talk about the sustainable income, sustainable growth of people, sustainable development of all the classes of the society. There should not be any inequality in the when it comes to races or ethnicity or origin or religion or economic status. And every time in every discussion we come to the point that for development of country we should only focus on the GDP part, and we should only think about the industrialization and growth and this and that. But then I want to bring your attention to a very important aspect here. There is something called it's a very interesting thing I want to share with all of you. There is something called social progress. Let me come to this slide. Social progress index. For any country, it is very, very important that if you want to reduce inequality, you should focus on this social progress index, because it talks about basic human needs, it talks about foundation of well-being, it talks about opportunities. Don't you think if we create a balance here, we will be able to reduce inequality? And if we are able to reduce inequality, somewhere we are trying to create happiness. And believe me, my dear friends, it has been proved in 2012 in one of the research report that, it has accompanied the idea of happiness is a better measurement of human welfare, where it is considered as a standard indicator like wealth, education, health, or good government. And, it plays a very important role, because we are not just talking about the resources and development, but we are equally talking and concerned about the people living around us. We need to create happiness, because happiness is the byproduct of inequality. If we are talking a lot about inequality, take into consideration, because there is a situation, if it impacts a lot. There is a situation, if you are born in a poor family, you are going to suffer like anything. It is going to create a lot of stress on your psychology since your childhood to the time you grow up. And if you are born in a very rich family, you are so blessed. You are blessed with all kind of things and technologies and everything. All resources will be available to you very easily. So somewhere I feel when you talk about inequality, take into consideration with leaving no one behind. And 4 important aspects what I am discussing today is investing in women empowerment, investing in agriculture, redefine the law of the workplace, and also working on the happiness index. Why happiness index? Because I would like to put up the example of Bhutan here. I visited this country, and believe me, I found that nothing is beautiful than this place. It is so peaceful country where they equally have lot of change in their mindsets also. The king of the country keep roaming around, meeting people, discussing the issues, and they're very normal. They have zero fashion statement. They don't show off. They don't have a lot of vehicles. They don't create pollution. They don't create noise pollution. It's a very peaceful place. So they take care of the ecological sustainability. They have good governance, equality before the law. They have, kind of socio-economic development, equally promotion and preservation of a free, resilient culture for the country. Believe me, inequality materialize upper class, vulgarize middle class, and brutalize lower class. So every time it's lower class who is suffering. As I mentioned, there is no relation in the GDP, and you need to take care of social progress index, which I mentioned before. This is a graph which is showing that countries are having good GDP growth, but they don't have good social progress index. That means people living here are lacking happiness. Somewhere they're growing in some or the other sector or area, maybe technology, maybe economy, maybe social, but then they are quite away from the social progress index. And I want to quote the example of Costa Rica. This is a place where it has highest social progress index in the world till date. With the last report I have checked with, and it has been shown in that report that this place, they takes care of all kind of things required, basic needs required, opportunities required for the people and for their development. So this is how we can reduce inequality. Now I want to when I am talking about investing in women empowerment, I want to say that focusing in further India, McKinsey reported that in August 2016, the women contributed only 70% of the GDP. Now estimate that India would add 700 billion into its GDP by 2025 by closing this gap. So helping women staying active at workplace will raise and also helps in raising family is a key achievement to its growth. This means more and more family-friendly work policies should be there, such as paid parental leaves, kind of friendly atmosphere, good working policies, and some environment should be created in the workplace. Many of the organizations are doing that. Whenever you have a small kid, you will be given all such facilities so that you can take your kid along with you, and you can psychologically with a lot of peace in mind, because you are having kid with you, you are not leaving kid at home. So you with a lot of peace can focus on the work, and it will somewhere increase your productivity. It also means that more men should take responsibility in raising kid, managing household chores, and this should extend to the workplace, and men in the leadership roles should build a culture where more is relevant in empathy and team members towards the parent of all the genders. When it comes to investing in agriculture, I want to say that as per the World Bank, agriculture help reducing poverty to 80% of the world poor who lives in rural areas and work mainly in the farming. So it further states that 65% of poor working adults may living through agriculture. More than 1 billion people have moved to extreme poverty in the recent decades, and about 80% of those that remain in the rural areas, providing farmers a bundle of services like access to seeds and plant nutrition and production facilities and good technologies. But today, climate smartness and climate resilience is also a need, a special need to be focused. So we should focus on risk mitigation and mechanism like weather insurance, risk prevention mechanism to improve the agriculture productivity. And also when it comes to redefining the policies at work, I would like to mention that there are several workplaces they have redefined the laws and reduced the inequalities. Minimum wages and universal basic income UBI are the two popular ways to reform the workplace laws. They both have same aim, raising income at of the least of the fortunate to reduce the income gap, and they're working on reducing the income gap, and they are imposed by law and paid by the employer. So somewhere it has been people are working in these areas, but if we are talking about inequality, we need to take care of all this specifically. Here I would like to mention that tech gurus like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, they are providing monthly packets of income to fulfill the basic needs of the people who are working in his organization on a very lower level, without deducting the salaries and without providing them any kind of hindrance while paying the salaries and all that. They take people with a lot of equality in their organization. They treat them with equality. So in developing countries such as India, despite having 100 of pro-poor schemes, the biggest question, as mentioned by my previous speaker, Professor Ajit Upadhyay sir, is whether such schemes benefit the poor people. Is it really reaching the poor people? But the real challenge will be in distinguishing the poor from non-poorer, particularly. Such data is really questionable. So strong monitoring is really required, but change in the mindset is equally important. Inequality kills happiness when we compare, because happiness is dependent, on life satisfaction also. When you have a lot of economic growth, you have very good salary, you have all the infrastructure, but at the same time, if it is not it is not, you are not getting an equal treatment in the organization, you won't be happy. So happiness is equally important. Yes, I won't deny that inequality is part of system, but somewhere as human being, we are responsible for the same. So if I talk about sustainable happiness, we can actually overcome the issues of inequality. So take care of this sustainable happiness as well, and try to serve the society. I want to mention, there are few countries which have highest happiness index, like Denmark or Switzerland or Finland. They have been ranked as a top 10 happiness equality countries, and they are doing good in every aspect. They are growing equally. So we should not ignore one part to attain the another growth aspect. Here, I want to say, to enhance happiness of the people, it is necessary to use happiness explicitly as performance indicator for achievement of government policies. Government policies can increase the average happiness through administrative financial support for target groups. They can also elevate the happiness inequality by changing the distribution of happiness more densely around the average. And the performance of government policies has mainly been measured by evaluating the changes in average well-being of the target population. So, however, it is necessary to acknowledge the reduction in inequality of happiness or well-being of the people as important achievement for the government policy. So let's not forget that, the Roman Empire was one of the richest planet, with wealth concentrated in the hands of few senatorial elites, and the rest were utterly poor. Warning signs of inequality were ignored, and it resulted in civil war. The entire empire got collapsed. Do we want that again? No. Let's collectively work towards to make an equitable change in the world. And I also want to mention here that, apart from spreading happiness and creating equality, have that feeling of equality for everyone in the society. And, if you want to see the change, be the change. This is what I practice. Whatever is feasible for me, don't forget to do charity also. Whatever is feasible for me, I do spend time with kids, with people living in society who need support, who need my time, who need my guidance. I try to contribute according to in my own way, in my own kind of schedule. Whatever time I get, I try and spend this time with the people. So at last, I just want to give you a message. If you want to see the change, be the change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gunjan Shukla ma'am, for all your efforts. Actually, you want to improvement in our society in a mankind. So I'm giving you my big salute to all your efforts. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for joining, ma'am. Right. So, without wasting time, here I would like to request Catalino
Mendoza.
Yes. So, sorry, Catalino Mendoza. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So, sir, now next is you. Just a minute. Dr. Gunjan Shukla, I am giving you a spotlight for the signature sign. Yes. Please do this, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. So now, Catalino and Mendoza, sir, thank you very much for joining us here. I would like to mention that Sir Catalino is going to speak on a goal line, because due to some technical issues, there is some problem with that. So he will be today presenting the goal line presentation, which is the innovation and infrastructure. So, sir, the stage is now yours, sir.
Namaste. Good afternoon from the Philippines. Good morning to other parts of the world. And also, of course, good evening. So I'll be talking about the Sustainable Development Goal number 9. So that focuses on the industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And also, of course, it encompasses goal number 1 and goal number 10, which is eliminations of what we call inequality. So let's think about this. So I'll be talking of social entrepreneurship model. It is basically part of my advocacy in the Philippines and also, of course, around the world. It is also one way to be able to eliminate some sort of inequality among human beings. Once that you are once that you yourself enter into this world, you will be sharing something for the growth and development of the humanities in the world. So let's think about this. Our story is something we can create, redirect, or change altogether. Yet, we should not always desire the happy, beautiful storylines because the best growing experiences are often the result of the most trying and painful episodes. This is exactly the focus of my attention. And we are not simply aiming for happiness alone, but for the happiness of all the people. And through the process, with the process, you can experience a lot of pains and discomfort. But then, once that you have championed those feelings and experiences, you will find happiness and equality. So you will be definitely contributing something for the growth of humanity in terms of innovation. Okay, let's talk about the objectives. Delineates the different entrepreneurship focus and its possibilities and the present market scene. Presents and comprehend the model of social entrepreneurship, and also, of course, critically evaluate the importance of social entrepreneurship. So what most probably the premise of social entrepreneurship? The first one is the goal number 9, build resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. This is one way of which people should think of to be able to contribute something for the growth and development of the human being. It is also one way to answer or to as an answer to goal number 9, which is inequality, entrepreneurship, business from home through mobile platform, growing importance of social responsibility, increasing diversity in green business ideas, specialized business education, and the younger entrepreneurship involvement. This is basically the focus of my attention in the presentations of this idea, the 360 social entrepreneurship. What about this 360-degree social entrepreneurship? Let's discuss one by one. This is the simulacrum that I have utilized, and I have came across this idea because of the situation, especially during pandemic period. This is I called CNN model of social entrepreneurship or Spicer 20. So basically, the Spicer 20 focuses on the different characteristics that the social entrepreneur should possess to be able to at least attain a certain level of achievement or attain certain level of equality. And also, of course, we are supposed to develop something to be able to prove that we have done something good for our society. And that falls under skills, personality, interest, empathy, research, and the critical thinking. These are the characteristics that came out during the research that I have conducted in 2020 that talks about how people should be releasing something or should be sharing something within the certain community. So let's talk one by one. So we have here skills. What about the skills? The skills talks about the teach model, and the teach model has something to do with the technical, ethical, aesthetical, conversational, and humanitarian. Take note of these things. And as you can see there, we are supposed to teach people to be like entrepreneurs. And to be an entrepreneur, you have to be acquiring some technical prowess or skills or the technical intelligence that following the ethical condition or ethical way in conducting researches. And that we have to also, of course, developing some sort of model. And that model falls under the aesthetical thing in appealing or to appeal or to convey people to purchase a particular product or to be in the field that where they are in. Also, of course, to attract people to enter into the social activities or social entrepreneurship activities. Another one is a person should be conversational, because you cannot even convey people to enter into the world of social entrepreneurship without dealing or without considering the conversational skills or communication skills. And also, of course, we are doing this for humanitarian aspect or humanitarian area or aspects of human being. So another one is the technical. It has something to do with the policy model. What does it mean by policy? Policy means planner, that the person, that the entrepreneurship or social entrepreneur should be a planner, because everything goes when you have already your blueprint. And also, of course, he must be organizer, he must be a leader, amicable, and a reviewer. So it calls or controller of everything. It is because all you have to do is to share something, but within a parameters. So therefore, you are supposed to control, let's say, for example, the quality of the product that you are producing, the quality of the communication that you will be observing, etc. So another one is the ethical. Ethical, I have used this tranche model. The tranche model to become ethical social entrepreneur, we have to consider traditions. We have to also, of course, follow rules and regulation, in that you are supposed to have a lot of affiliation like what we are doing from across the world, from any other parts of the world, from India to the Philippines to the United States, etc. Because we are supposed to establish a norms of being together. We have to go hand in hand to be able to champion the social humanity, and also, of course, eliminating some sort of inequality across human being. And also, of course, we have to consider the culture. We have to respect the culture of other people, including within a certain community or within a certain country, because one part of the country is different culture from the other culture. So we have to respect. And also, of course, we have to be honest. Honesty is always the name of the game, because without honesty, we cannot even try to observe the practices and the tradition that a certain community is doing. Also, of course, we cannot even follow rules and regulation in establishing affiliations across the world. And also, of course, to standardize the norms and preserve the culture of a certain community. Another one is aesthetical. It has something to do with the build model. Build model is bold, unprecedented, incredible, legendary, and dainty. These are the things that we have to observe among ourselves as social entrepreneurs. And also, of course, imparting to other people to standardize their own aesthetical model. Another one is the CNN model of social entrepreneur, focusing on personality. And when we are talking of personality, it develops a person. Yan. So AB normal model, the attitude and the behavior are very important. So as you can see there, attitude has something to do with the smile model to become congruent with what is expected from the social entrepreneur by our society. You have to observe smile. And the smile model representing smile, simple, mature, innocent, lively, and empathic. Take note of being a smile or being a social entrepreneur, that we have to establish this kind of characteristics. We have to be simple. We should not be supposed to be like on top of the social class, like the class A, 10% of the economic condition or status in our society. But we just simply become simple. We should become simple and also, of course, mature enough to deal with the situation, and also, of course, in dealing with people. Innocent in the sense that you are supposed to be like innocent in the way that you are welcoming ideas coming from other people and being innocent and a lively person. Okay, and also, of course, empathic is not just here to listen to the problems of other people, but you are supposed to be there and be with these people to be able to know and understand fully the predicaments of life. And also, of course, under the behavior model, strong model has been established that a person or social entrepreneur should be sanguine, thoughtful, radiant, objective, nourishing, and gracious. Look at this thing. Become a strong social entrepreneur is not that difficult. We have to acquire all these characteristics. So another one is the interests. So we have the skills, personality, in the interest. What does it mean by interest then? When we are talking interest, it has something to do with a STEP model. STEP model has something to do with society, technology, education, and politics. Take note, we have to be adept when it comes to society, because we are doing business, we are establishing livelihood program for a society. If we are not that kind of person to be with people, and we have to be equipped with technology, what should be the technology we have to use and utilize to be able to come up with the best social entrepreneurship program or activity? Education, yes, all of us are educators, even if some of us have not even attained a certain level of education through formal education, but because of our experiences, we become educated. And that thing would most probably could be possibly be used and applied in our activities. And also, of course, politics. Yes, we never talked about politics because most of the time, politics plays a dirty trick. But because of this politics, we have to at least observe the existing laws of the land. So requirement, satisfaction, and also, of course, compliant to the requirements of the government, etc., across the world. It is not only within our society, but also, of course, with other countries, because it really affects the system. Okay, another one is the empathy, the critical thinking. So Spicer, SPIC, the critical thinking. So what would be the model that I have used and utilized that I have drawn during our research? Mind model means modeling, investing, nurturing, and delighting. Take note, the modeling has something to do with the creations of statically designed product, or it could either in a form of service. But when it comes to investing, it is not only in terms of money, but also your dedication and also your time to develop yourself to a certain extent. Nurturing has something to do with what? Sharing with your expertise with other people. Let grows other, you are supposed to teach other people to be like you, okay? And delighting is a way to give satisfactions or more than satisfaction to your customer or within a member of your society. The next one is empathy. So what most probably the model for the empathy, the awit model. In the Philippines, awit means seeing. So awit means seeing. So I use the word awit model as a model of this empathy, that a person or a social entrepreneur should always be available whenever the society needs you. And if there are some issues, concerns, or some problems that they have encountered, you are always there to support and help. You are supposed to be willing to extend your time, effort, and even your resources, other resources. And you are interested with the people, with the society, and also, of course, with those who really want to grow and develop. You are supposed to be thoughtful in the way that any concern should be what? Should be given a solution. And that is being thoughtful. And also, of course, being thoughtful is just telling the truth, whether it hurts someone, but at the end, they will realize that being not so harsh, but being true to yourself, true to your words, means a lot to them to be able to become expert in the field where they are in. And also, of course, the last one to complete the word spicer is research. Research has something to do with the scholars. And the scholars means it develops a person to become systematic. It develops a social entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs to be systematic, to be critical, to be honest, organized, logical, analytical, rational, and sensitive to surrounding. So these are the characteristics that we should always utilize or use to be able to develop a certain community. That certain community will develop and extend to other community. Therefore, we will no person left behind. So therefore, eliminations of what we call social inequality, and also, of course, innovation. This is the real idea of innovating something to be able to share to other community. And that completes this Spicer. So the learning for this particular presentations of mine of the 360 social entrepreneurship, the more you learn the language of social entrepreneurship, the more you become thirsty of enhancing and developing your prowess in utilizing it in relation to research, and also, of course, in relation to minimizing the problems of inequality. The more you practice the language of social entrepreneurship, the more you become eloquent in doing it. It is because it is a continuous process as well. And also, of course, the more you practice the language of social entrepreneurship, the more you become a public image, because you will be afterthought of the people because of your contribution to those people who have already championed their activities. The more you become a public image, the more you become public enthusiast, because you will be focusing your attention to improve, innovate something for the good and for the good of everybody, for the good of yourself, for the good of society, and for the good of the customer. The more you become a public enthusiast, the more you become social entrepreneur. And the more you become social entrepreneur, the more you love the language of helping. And that's exactly what we need. That is why this goal number 9 of mine that I have presented as part of my research during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, really encompasses most of the goal numbers, like goal number 9, goal number 2, goal number 10, goal number 9, and number 12 as well. Okay, so that will be the end of my presentation. So therefore, the more you love the language of social entrepreneurship, the more you open-minded you become in helping others to grow and become social entrepreneurs. Hence, create an environment of productive nation. And that will be my contribution for the interest of the witty gossip for the United Nations to realize the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much. Namaste, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, Catalino sir, for your wonderful and a thoughtful presentation. Actually, this time also, I like your acronym about the research scholars. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Sir, oh, wait a minute. I am giving you a spotlight, sir. Yes, please do this, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Yeah. So now, without wasting time, I would like to invite Priyal Sipaha, the LLM candidate, and now she is doing her her internship in the United Nations Geneva. So, Priyal Sipaha, now the stage is all yours.
Hello, everyone.
Yes.
I'm Priyal. I'm currently doing my LLM in International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights. And I chose to speak on the 10th goal, which is reducing inequalities. Based on my work, I particularly wanted to focus more on conflict induced displacement and the inequalities that refugees and the displaced community as a whole face. Um, Before beginning, I would first like to share what inequality in my own terms, both my academic understanding and my professional experiences, mean to me. I wouldn't say that equality is often confused with the lack of something. Something can be a right, a facility, or anything. It's more often than not the hurdles that a certain community faces to get to that something. That for me is inequality. And that for me is the main challenge, even with the displaced community at large. Conflict has a lot of aftermaths. One of them is mass displacement, and displacement can be within the country, as we know, IDPs or internally displaced persons, or worse, people can be pushed out of the country or forcefully or just flee the country because of the fear of persecution. And that we call a refugee crisis or also label them as asylum seekers. So, given that backdrop, I can highlight some of the inequalities that this community faces. The first is the lack of a legal status, because we applaud states for incorporating the international human rights laws incorporated in the ICCPR or the Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights Covenant. But if we closely look at it, all these constitutions address the most fundamental of those rights to its citizens and not every person that is residing in their country. So, due to the nuances of territorial application of these human rights laws, this displaced community at large has been separated from being the beneficiaries of the basic of the human rights. So, this is the first hurdle. You might also think that being a refugee is the worst situation one can be as a beneficiary of a human right, but the worst is being stateless when a person is in kind of a legal status limbo and they don't belong to any state. Which brings me to the next challenge that this community faces, which is healthcare. I think the COVID-19 pandemic has made us realize that even the most powerful and the most privileged people of the global South had faced vaccine inequality and hurdles in access to healthcare. So we can only imagine what this community went through in terms of accessing basic healthcare needs during the pandemic. It is also on papers very much applauded and appreciated that state policies and international organizations have included refugees or the displaced community as beneficiaries of the vaccine. But there's a huge difference between inclusion and accessibility. And this is where we need to bridge the gap between what is theoretically and legally being granted to what is practically reaching the members of these communities. This also brings me to the next point, which is education, because even though the right to education is universal and has been inculcated in a lot of constitutions, we need to assess that these children who have lost years of their development, both psychologically, emotionally, and then reflecting on their academic capabilities due to the trauma of war, cannot instantly benefit or absorb everything that a completely different education system, sometimes in a different language, has to offer them. This also makes us think about the additional awareness that we need to inculcate within the fellow students about sensitivity towards these kids who have faced the trauma of the war. Another aspect that is very much needed to be discussed is these people and the hindrances they face when they want legal aid, because the right to legal aid, even for citizens, has been a very much debated right, and it's a very challenging right to actually implement. But when it comes to the displaced communities, a lot of responsibility is placed on civil societies and the UNHCR, which is the UN Agency on Refugees. Um, we forget sometimes, or even like the International Committee of the Red Cross, but we forget that they are still very state controlled agencies, because these agencies cannot work unless the states consent them to work in their territory. And they also control to what level they can work and interfere for the welfare and protection of these people. So we have seen a very recent trend of emerging national security laws coupled with banking regulation updates, which, if we study together, basically are causing a chilling effect in this work of the civil societies, which basically means that it cuts off the funding towards some NGOs that are working for particularly vulnerable communities. And this is basically stemming from a lack of awareness or just straight up discrimination against some racial, ethnic, or religious communities, and them trying to build a life after facing persecution in their country of origin. I feel these were the main or the highlights when we talk about inequalities and the hurdles that the members of these communities face. And to end, I would just like to quote an excerpt out of Refugee Blues that perfectly depicts the plight of these people. And it goes, I dreamed of a building with 1,000 doors, 1,000 floors, 1,000 windows, and 1,000 doors. None of them was ours, my dear. Not one of them was ours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priyal. It's indeed wonderful speech you delivered here. Thank you very much for joining us. And your efforts towards the mankind and the society is really appreciable. Thank you very much, dear. Thank you. I'm giving you a spotlight, dear. Just hold on. Yes. So, would you like to do this gesture? Thank you very much. Here again, I would like to mention that we believe in a joining hands, not shaking the hands, because the world in this COVID-19, after this COVID-19 pandemic, actually the world needs the mutual association, mutual cooperation, and definitely we have to do mutual efforts. So that's why we believe in the joining hands. Thank you very much, dear. Thank you very much for joining us. So, without wasting time, here I would like to invite Paniel Modevi. Sorry, Patience Modivili. Patience, are you there? Yes, your camera is switched on. So, dear, now the stage is all yours. Okay, so I would like to request technical team, please make co-host Patience Modevi. Patience.
Hello.
Hello, yes, dear. Hello. How are you,
Hi,
dear?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much for having me on the Global Peace and Sustainable Development Summit. Thank you so much to Witty. I'm really, really happy to be here. And I must say, I need to give props to everybody who's been talking so far. It's been really interesting, and I'm really happy I'm here. So I was really taken into talking about reducing inequalities, and this is the reason why I wanted to be here today. And my work has been a lot more with young people, so I decided to talk about young people in the UK where I live, here and how they've been affected by inequalities, and what I believe we can do, each of us, and as the government as well as each other, to support young people. So young people in the UK face many forms of inequalities, and a lot of them are linked mostly to racial and ethnic equalities. This kind of means that when there are resources, the resources are not really distributed evenly in the country, but also it also means that the young people as well, who are living in communities where there is not a support for them to understand what resources are available, it means that they are not searching for those either. And this affects a lot of things. So this affects their rights, it affects their privileges, their access to public goods, education, judicial system, as well as their housing, transportation, credit and financial services, but mostly and especially in the last couple of years, health and well-being. And I believe that education needs a change, and I believe that we need to support young people in developing emotional intelligence and growth mindset, on top of having the government as well supporting the young people. In February of this year, the UK government has introduced the Levelling Up white paper, and that was in order to reach certain objectives in order to bridge this gap of inequalities in the country. And these objectives are supposed to be reached by 2030. Those objectives are to boost pay and productivity, which means that, so if you were to look right now, at the moment, a lot of higher pay and higher productivity is down south, where there is like the capital, and in the north, and in other regions, there is a lack of resources for people. Improvement into education and public services, also restoring land pride, and empowering local leaders in the government. But what I've been finding lately, and what I would like to share today, is that a lot of local businesses, a lot of people have been inclined into going out and bringing a change themselves, so that they can support those communities of young people that have not been able to maybe access certain goods, access certain things that they need for their development. So I just would like to point out a few of them. So for example, you have busybodies, for example, that supports young people in helping them to develop and to acquire STEM skills. So everything to do with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then you have the tramway path, for example, who are trailblazers in bridging the gap of operational wealth by supporting people to join the property ladder, where the people wouldn't be able to get onto this property ladder. So they're bringing the gap into generational wealth. Autonomy mindset is supporting people and work with organizations to support empowerment of their mindset through improving their beliefs on health, their belief on finances, and their belief on branding themselves. I do believe that, as I think one of the speakers previously said, that we need to have a little bit more of a need to be to ourselves, do things on our own, and support ourselves, but also support the people in our community on an everyday level. And that would be me. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm watching. Your kid is very, very cute, and even I have also my kid, and he is wandering around me. Okay, thank you, dear. Thank you very much. I'm giving you a spotlight. Yes, thank you. So, would you like to do this gesture? Thank you, dear. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. So, without wasting time, I would like to invite Ivy Barato from the Cap Verde. Dear Ivy, now the stage is yours. Yes. So, dear, yes, please switch on your camera. Yes. Yes, dear.
Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for having me again here, discussing the GDP 10. So I'll be speaking about, I'm representing Cape Verde country. So I'll be speaking on that, the gaps that they have in the country at the moment, and being a consultant and a developer. So I'll be speaking on some of the key points that we are engaging already as the aspirants, and why it's necessary for the diasporans to engage in these key points and conversations with the UN as well. So Cape Verde is a country that is compiled by 10 islands, and 9 of them are active. And being a young demographic, it is essential to work with the youths. So because they're key, they're leaders of tomorrow. So if we don't engage on that, you'll be lost to a lot of issues and that they have on ground as we speak. So the country, they are predominantly speaking Portuguese-speaking country, which brings them a little bit of a retardation instead of bringing them to the center stage. So, and then Creole is they're broken Portuguese, so they can be able to come, engage with the world proactively. So that is one of the things that we're educating them in terms of language, so they can be able to engage. And being women as well, predominantly women that are on ground, because a lot of diasporans a lot of the Cape Verdean are out of the country. So the ones that are out of the country, they engage in sending resources back home. So granting these individuals a way of living instead of a self-dependency is key in this conversation, so they can be able to utilize what they have on ground. Because with the pandemic, what happened was that with the dependency and being that the world was engaging in helping other countries, so they themselves, they weren't helped as much in terms of the vaccine as some of the speakers have spoke in terms of vaccine, food, and other resources. So there was a lot of lack in the country in the aspects. And in terms of business owners, so I can say one of the examples in terms of a business owner, like the person is a nightclub owner. So he had to actually reinvent himself and his staff during the pandemic, utilizing the backspace of the nightclub to be able to plant food so they can sell to the population so they wouldn't be starving during the pandemic, and then still retaining the staff. So instead of the staff pouring drinks, they were pouring water on the vegetation so they can sell and still maintain their families. So this is one of the points that I'm here speaking about in terms of educating them and bringing as well partnerships and investors and collaborators and opening their mindset as well as people so they can be able to engage and self-engage with the outside world, so they can be able to be less dependent, sorry. So those are the key points that I'm talking about. And in terms of, because there's already issues on ground, and these issues, because they're not educated in that mindset, so there's a lot of crisis in terms of rape, because lack of work. There's rape, okay, let me explain it a little. Okay, there's rape, they drink a lot in the country because of the sugarcane. They produce a lot of sugarcane, so they convert it into drink. So, which is a shame. So it's called Grogan. That's the vodka of the country. So reducing these things and the drugs as well, we're starting to import drugs, because being an archipelago, so the drugs come through the sea. So there's a crisis at the moment. And so be able to engage this youth in things that are positive, bringing them more schools, because there's lack of schools, and for the rural areas. So us as a company, what we do is, and as a consultants for the country, is bringing partnership as diasporans. So that's why it's important for the diasporans to engage in this fight, and the UN as well, to understand what is happening in the country. So be able to engage them with good activities so they can proceed and cut off some of the blindness that they have on ground. So that is key for us at the moment. So we brought company in so that they can be able to utilize what they have on ground, that are their resources, such as water, converting their oceanic water into drinkable water, and so they can be able to produce agriculture in terms of agriculture, so they can be able to be self-sufficient. And in terms of infrastructure, so they can leverage the infrastructure that they have. So we brought in paint as well. This is sort of paint, so they can be able to not to import in as much. Like, for example, the generators and the light system in the house. So they can be able to reduce the cooling system that they have indoors, that is the air conditioning. So the paint reduce the costs coming in. And as well, we brought in as well a way for the people that are in the secluded area, solar panels. So instead of solar panels, it's water harvesting panels, so they can resolve that issue as well of the not having water. So it harvests water from the air, so they can be able to have water in those places. And this is some of the things that we brought there on ground, so people can be able to, engage in those new technologies that they have. And that is me. So we raised our case in the points. Hopefully we can be able to bring more awareness for investors to come in and leveraging their tourism. That's what is their main, what the country survives in, is in tourism. So they can be able to bring more awareness and bring in things and produce self-producing, so they can export things outside, because they depend 80% of what they have is all imported. So thank you very much. And I rest my case.
Thank you, dear. Thank you very much for joining us and adding one new country in the Global Peace and Sustainable Development Summit. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, dear, would you like to do this gesture? Okay. So, move some here. Move some here. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. Perfect. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. So without wasting time here, I would like to invite Dr. Yogendra Singh Rajput from the Prestige Institute of Management, Devas, for further proceeding. So Dr. Yogendra Singh Rajput, now the stage is yours, sir.
Audible?
Yes, sir. Now you are audible, sir.
Thanks, Supriya ma'am. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
I would like to thank Witty Gossip Association and Organizing Committee and Director of our Institute, Dr. Ajit Upadhyaya, sir, for giving such opportunities to me. I am Dr. Yogan Singh Rajawat, and I am feeling honored and privileged to be one of the speakers of this summit. Inequality is one of the biggest obstacles in the realization of human rights. The impacts of inequality to the society can be very damaging as it creates poverty, marginalization, and eventually conflicts. A World Social Science report by UNESCO on challenging inequalities have identified 7 different types of inequalities. First one is economic inequality, then social inequality, cultural inequality, political, environmental, geographical, and knowledge equality. Each of those dimensions is intersecting each other, as one dimension of inequality could create another form of inequality. For instance, poor community who are already become victims of economic inequality may face bigger obstacles compared to those who are not poor in accessing quality education. Reducing inequality and ensuring no one is left behind are integral to achieving the sustainable development goal, that is basically goal number 10 of UNESCO. Being an academician, now I would like to put some points related with inequality in education or in academics. India's education landscape is basically extremely unequal. These inequalities manifest themselves in the form of differences based on caste, class, and in some cases gender. Now I am quoting some facts derived from research that is basically conducted by Hindustan Times, that is one of the most popular newspaper in India. Those at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder are more likely to be studying humanities than a professional course. They are also much less likely to have access to English medium education. Differences in geographical location can increase or decrease these inequalities. The students from the richest 20% of the society are 17th time more likely to be studying law than from the poorest 20%. And a student who does not belong to another backward class, that is OBC, scheduled class, or scheduled tribe, is 6 times more likely to be studying management course than a scheduled tribe student in India. Girls are likely to be getting English medium education than boys, and more women take up humanities as compared to men in India. For dealing inequality in education, Indian government recently has introduced the new education policy, that is 2020. It could be guaranteed that new education policy is going to reduce whatever gaps I have mentioned above in near future. COVID-19 has deepened existing inequality, hitting the poorest and most vulnerable communities in the hardest. On the economic front, the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly increased global unemployment, dramatically slashed workers' inflow. Now I'm quoting some of the facts, those are already published by UNESCO. First fact is representing that up to 30% of income inequality is due to inequality within households, including between women and men. Women are also more likely than men to live below 50% of the median income. The second point, the richest 1% in the world have more than double the wealth of 6.9 billion people around the globe. The world's richest 22 men have more money than all the women in Africa. Of the 1 billion population of persons with disabilities, 80% lives in developing countries. 1 in 10 children is a child with a disability. Only 20% of persons with significant disability have access to disability benefits globally, and only 1% in low income countries. That was all about my speech. Thanks indeed, Supriya Madam and Witty Group Association and listeners for listening me and inviting me. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Sir, would you like to do this gesture?
Yeah. Yes,
Thank you very much, sir. Thank
thank you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you for joining us. So now, before wasting time, here I would like to invite a student first. Then we will go with the Dr. Ashima Joshi, ma'am. Here is the name of the student is Sparsh Goyal. So Sparsh Goyal, are you there?
Yes, Supriya ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
Oh, thank you. So first of all, I'd like to convey my regards and thank you to all the dignitaries to allow me this opportunity to speak over the 10th goal of UNESCO, that is reducing inequalities within and among nations. So let me just share my screen. Let me know if you can see that. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, it has started. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It is started, right? So let me put some example here. Imagine we are conducting a race in the Olympics, and our aim is to determine the best runner. But we do a little bit of change here. Let me put some participants backward and forward along the start line. Okay, so we do that on the basis of their parents' performance, and if they have a different skin color, we tie their shoelaces, and if they are the kids of Usain Bolt, we give them motorcycle to finish the race. So isn't it very unequal? Right, it is unequal indeed. So we cannot determine the quality of the runner, and the justice is not served here. So what does inequality mean? Yeah, let me just share those. Right. Yeah. Inequality simply means not being able to grab the same opportunities and the resources as others do. This world is full of diversity, and we say in India, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, and that simply means the whole world is my family. And we obviously love our family. We share the joys and sorrows together, and in the same way, we cannot and should not leave any part of the world, any part of the society, uh, behind just because of the differences. I truly believe that the differences are the things that shapes our identity, and we should respect our differences, and we should be proud of that. So inequality can be there in the access, like inequality can be there in terms of limited or no access to proper education, healthcare services, employment opportunities, and injustice and human rights. So let me tell you something about education. We all are privileged enough to get a good quality education, and we know how this world works, the functionality of the world. Yep. So let me just look at the notes. Yeah. So suppose there's a guy from a rural area, and he gets to study and he gets a job, or maybe sets up his own business. So one thing he's doing for sure, that he's ending poverty for his family, for the generations to come. And we can see that educated peoples are less likely to commit any crime or get involved in any kind of cheating, or they are not fooled or exploited by the society. And educated peoples are the ones who are more contributing to keep and sustain the law and order in the society. So that is pretty much self-explanatory, the importance of education. But why is there actually inequality in education? So you can see the screen. I write down some points here. So there's an absence of a proper system. And what do I mean by that? The policies are already there, but these are not executed at the root level, at the ground level. The underprivileged people are not getting the benefits of those policies. If we talk about developed nations like in Europe, the primary education is available to each child. They make sure that it is available, and that too for free. In India as well, we have the midday meal scheme that convinces the parents to send their kids to school, and so that we can improve the education for the underprivileged people. The second point is the poverty of parents. Let's face it, the underprivileged people and the poor people cannot afford to send their kids to school, and cannot afford for an expensive education. So policies need to be changed, and education needs to be affordable for them as well. The third point is low standard education. So education is there, the policies and programs are already running, but these are only worthy if the child can make use out of it in the future. They can earn employment, they can set up their own business ventures, and if only the education is quality, the quality education is provided. And last thing is gender disparity, especially in India, in rural areas. The girl child is seen as a burden, and we do not teach the girl child. Women or ladies are mere thought as a tool to raise kids and take care of the families. So this notion needs to be changed. Okay. The second thing that I'm talking about is inequality in healthcare services. So I cannot, I don't think I need to state the importance of how much healthcare services are needed after the COVID times. We all have been through it. So healthcare services, uh, healthcare services, yeah. Yeah. So there's a need of proper infrastructure in the healthcare services, like proper hospital beds and all the machines, and along with the trained staff, like doctors and nurses are need to be trained so that they can take care of the patients, and they can handle any amount of patients. Actually, that was a problem in the COVID times. And yes, the treatment, the care treatment, the healthcare needs to be more affordable for the underprivileged and the poor people. The first aid treatment should be more less expensive than it is now. The third thing is employment opportunities. So we all need to survive, and in order for that, and for that reason, we need to make a living, and we can do that either by job or by business. So I truly believe that everyone should be given equal opportunities for jobs and businesses, irrespective of their caste, the race, the gender, or anything. Yeah. I see that in big cities like Delhi or Mumbai, even the hen cart owner needs to pay some sort of bribe to the authorities or to the policemen. But on the other hand, big corporates or like businessmen can just get away taking a loan, a huge amount of loan from banks. So this needs to be changed here. And last thing is justice. So is justice really served? We can see on this planet, those who have rich, those who are rich and powerful gets different kind of justice than those who are less powerful or poor. The white in America, the white people gets different justice than those who are black Africans or Latinos, right? In Men gets different justice from women. So this needs to be changed. It's a beautiful thing written here. Like there can be no equal justice where the kind of trial a man gets depends on the amount of money he has. So that is very true. The law should treat everyone equally, and then only the justice will be served. So there are many types of inequalities. Like we need only a reason to call someone different, but mainly I'm going to talk about three kind of inequalities here. So the first one is income inequality. Let me just pull up the notes. Yeah. So I actually work in a US staffing firm where we have candidates working for us at the minimum wage, like $12 per hour. And we have people working with us at $250 per hour. So you guys can see the gap clearly. There's so much income gap between the rich and the poor. The poor just gets to make enough money in order to survive, but the riches are spending it blindly. I think that capitalism has led to the centralization of money, and therefore the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. But we need to ensure that the equal opportunities are made available for the society as a whole. Like no one should be left behind. Uh, Equal employment opportunities should be there, and funds and loans should be made available for anyone to start their own venture, irrespective of any discrimination, right? More investment should be made on education, and the minimum wages should be raised. So the second thing I'm going to talk about is gender inequality. Gender inequality, there's been a perception since ages, like all over the globe, like women are less or inferior to men, and that is true. Like in our fairy tales and mythologies as well, women are shown very weaker, and this starts from home and in school and at workplaces as well. Even if they know, like if they know the gender of the child before birth, women, the mothers are compelled to abort the fetus. So that is a very wrong thing. Women are paid less at their workplaces. They are always seen dependent on men, but that is not how it should be. So we can eradicate the gender inequality by educating the girl child, by promoting the women entrepreneurs, the women NGOs, and empowering them by promoting their participation in the social and in the political activities. And the third thing is racism. So racism is the idea that any race is superior than other race, and it is mostly seen in the United States and in the West, where white people are given more advantage than Black Africans or Asians or any kind of race in terms of employment, education, or any other social services. Like we can say that yes, Mr. Obama became the first Black president, like Black African president. But on the other hand, George Floyd was killed by the cops, was assassinated in the police custody, and just because of the color of his skin. So this needs to be changed. So what we can do here? So here are my conclusions. Yeah, so policies are already there, but they needs to be properly executed. A ground level check should be done by NGOs and by independent organizations at how much the policies are executed and implemented, and how much people are getting benefit. Second thing, more investment should be made in healthcare and education, so that the underprivileged people and the poor people gets the opportunities. And third thing says itself, ensuring equal opportunity for all. We cannot leave any people or any sector behind just because of their skin color, or just because of their income, just because of their gender. We need to provide equal opportunities for all. And the last thing is eliminating discriminatory laws, such laws which have been prevalent in the past times in the history, but those are not prevalent now. So this needs to be eradicated. Like in India, we have the caste system, and I don't think it's necessary now to get on with it. So yeah, and ultimately we need to spread awareness regarding this noble cause, like the UNESCO's all 17 goals for the development, sustainable development. And on this note, I would like to end my presentation, and thank you so much. And one more thing I would like to say, just doing one thing is actually better than talking about 100 things. And if you guys can, please be vegan, and just research about this, and we need to be vegan. Thank you so much. That's all from my end.
Thank you, dear Sparsh. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Means it's really amazing. I have become a spellbound, because I have no words to comment and to comment about your presentation. It's indeed very beautifully presented. All facts, all figures, all the data actually you put here, and your wordings are. I must say, it's really splendid. So thank you very much, dear.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much.
very much
Thank you.
for
It's my
joining
honor.
us. Yeah,
It's my
I
honor.
am giving you a spotlight. Just hold on, please. Stop sharing, dear.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stop sharing.
Yes.
How do I stop it?
Just hold on. Okay.
Yeah. It's just Now
Yes.
it is stopped.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfectly. All right. Okay.
Okay.
So I am giving you a spotlight. Just hold on. Okay. Yeah. So would you like to do this gesture?
Thank you so much, everyone, and please be vegan if you can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Nada from the Croatia. So Nada, would you like to add some notes about the Sparsh presentation? Nada, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes. What to say? I can say only that we see a bright future with this student grade, like all students who were presenting here these days. The thoughts, and we are sure that we have great science with new ideas and hope that all these ideas will be developed further. And what to say, like you say, he really fascinated me because a really young student, a really young man, and with big and great ideas.
Yes.
And
Yes. A young man with great thoughts. Thank you, dear
yes,
Nada.
yes,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. So, without wasting time, now I would like to invite Dr. Asima Singh. Dr. Asima Singh, are you there? Yes, sorry, Dr. Asima Joshi. So, Dr. Asima Joshi, are you there?
I'm there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, now the virtual stage is all yours, ma'am. Please proceed, ma'am.
I'm just sharing my screen.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Yes. Now, actually, now it's yes. Now it's visible. It's visible. Yes.
Scene 1. Farida, who worked in a garment factory in Bangladesh, lost her job last April. She was 8 months pregnant, but did not get any of the maternity benefits to which she was legally entitled. Scene 2. Sujata was a child prodigy who comes from a middle class family and excelled in competitive exams. Unfortunately, her parents died due to COVID. Worst part of her suffering was that she couldn't get admitted into her dream university as there was no such schemes to support the orphaned by COVID. Scene 3. Jean was poultry worker in US. He contracted COVID-19 and yet was told to continue working. 3 days later, he couldn't breathe, went on ventilator, went into coma and died. He left behind a wife and 3 children. His wife told the media the company sent her a card and $100 cash. She said they don't care about people's life. Respected organizers, witty gossip, learned panel members, very warm greetings. All theories of origin of mankind says that God created all humankind equal. So my point here, friends, is that when nature and God created all people equal, then who are we to make these differences and create inequality, as we have seen in the above mentioned stories? History has witnessed the inequality to such a level that even the organizations like UNESCO had to incorporate reducing inequality as one of its sustainability development goals. It is a great opportunity for me, Dr. Ashima Joshi, as a researcher, to throw light upon the gap and problem, taking into consideration inequality virus COVID-19 impact and to contribute a little towards achieving SDG 10 by 2030. I would like to complete my presentation in the allotted time framework of 12 minutes, so I will keep it short. COVID-19 is like an X-ray, revealing fractures in the fragile skeleton of the society we have built. It is exposing fallacies everywhere. The lie, the free markets can deliver healthcare to all. The fiction that unpaid care work is not work. The delusion that we live in the post-racist world, and the myth that we all are in the same boat. According to the International Fund, the World Bank, and Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, the after effect of pandemic will be felt for decades to come. History will remember the COVID-19 pandemic for taking over 2 million lives worldwide and being pushed into poverty and increasing inequality. Inequality risks being supercharged at huge human cost. According to Oxfam's survey of 295 economists from 79 countries, it took just 9 months for the top 1,000 billionaire fortune to return to their pre-pandemic highs. But for the poorest people, the recovery could take more than a decade. Globally, women are overrepresented in the sector of economy, that are hardest hit by pandemic. If women were exposed to the same rate as men, in those sectors, 112 million women would no longer be losing their jobs. In Brazil itself, people of Afro descent have been 40% more likely to die of COVID-19 than others. The World Bank has calculated that if countries act now to reduce inequality, then poverty could return to the pre-crisis level in just 3 years rather than over a decade. Coronavirus has fed off and increased existing inequality in the following fields. COVID-19 and inequality in health. Coronavirus has exposed the worst effect of poorly equipped and funded public health system and the failure of private system based on how rich you are. Likelihood of dying from COVID-19 is significantly higher if people are poor. Now talking about inequality in education. The pandemic deprived children in the poorest countries are almost 3 times more than high-income countries. It was evident that richer segment of society in comparison to poor segment had sufficient access to online learning and technology. Pandemic has reversed the gains of the last 20 years of global progress made on girls' education, resulting in increased poverty and inequality. Now, COVID-19 in light of the people's work and livelihood. Millions of jobs have been lost due to pandemic. The pandemic has brutally exposed inequality in the labor system. For instance, while 90% of the US workers in the top economic quartile have a right to paid sick leave, only 47% of the bottom quartile does. In low-income countries, 92% of women work in jobs that are informal, dangerous, and insecure. The coronavirus has also led to the explosion in the amount of underpaid by women. These are the pictures of Indian laborers migrating during the COVID crisis. COVID-19 and labor market. During the second wave, India has been haunted by images of migrant workers trying desperately to return to their native villages. The plight of the migrant workers had adversely affected the aftermath of COVID-19. The traditional divide in the labor market has been between the high and low skilled workers. The technological change triggered by the COVID-19 has raised inequality in the labor market. Various studies show that 32 out of 100 high skilled workers in India can work remotely. And for the low skilled workers, the corresponding number is just, mind it well, is just 4. COVID-19 and income inequalities. Different lockdown strategies and a macroeconomic framework reveal that the pandemic and the subsequent lockdown had also increased income inequality outcome between the high and low skilled. Now, COVID-19 and gender inequality. The patriarchy norms played a strong role in increasing women's exposure to COVID-19. Women have kept the world running during the entire pandemic, picking up the care workloads in clinics, homes, and at the workplaces, which had put them to a greater risk of being exposed to the virus themselves. Globally, women make up 70% of the health and social care workforce, but are undervalued and poorly paid. Now coming to the last part, that is the conclusion. Indian government has made huge effort to respond to the challenges created by pandemic as the world struggles together in figuring out what works best. India manufactured vaccines for COVID, and even in the middle of pandemic, it released the National Education Policy 2020 and remains committed to reduce inequality. The following 5 steps towards a better world will contribute towards achievement of SDG 10. Firstly, we need a world that is profoundly more equal and measures what matters. Government must set concrete time-bound targets to reduce inequality by providing quality healthcare, social protection, education, and gender equality. Here, I would like to quote the example of Indian film actor Sonu Sood, who was known as an actor in 21st century BC. Yes, was known as an actor in 21st century BC, that is before COVID-19. He has emerged as a superhero during the pandemic. For thousands of migrants, he is the man who dealt with the situation, serving the entire nation with utmost respect toward the different races and religion, setting an example of unity in diversity. Secondly, we need a world where human economies care for people. The pandemic has demonstrated the need for a greater focus on health prevention and promotion. COVID vaccination drive by Indian government is one such example. Here, I would like to quote certain initiatives of my institute, Prestige Education Foundation, to our institute conducted the free vaccination drive during the entire pandemic period. No salary was deducted during the lockdown. A huge donation was made to Chief Minister's Relief Fund. All jobs were secured during the period. Prestige Education Foundation offered a free education to children orphaned by COVID pandemic. Thirdly, we need a world without exploitation and with income security. Government must empower all work by dignified working conditions and fair wages for all. Fourthly, we need a world where the richest people pay their fair share of tax. Government must urgently agree on global reforms. Lastly, a world of climate safety where small-scale farmers and ecological food production should be supported, which is pollution-free. Here, I would like to say Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. It is a Sanskrit phrase and is the most important moral value in our Indian society, which means the world is one family. It's time to advocate this philosophy, which is a call of an hour and needed to reestablish, it is needed for the reestablishment of a peace in the world by reducing inequality by building sustainable planet. Hence, I end my presentation with a request to be a change you want to see in the world, and thanking the chair and hope to see a global white paper emerge that may give roadmap to United Nations for allocating substantial resources in this direction, not just for India, but for the whole world at large. Thank you so much and namaskar. Thank you.
Means I am again spellbound. It's a really great presentation. So ma'am, could you please stop sharing, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Again, ma'am, again means the world is one family, Vasudev Kutumbakam, and be a change in the world, what you want to see. So amazing, ma'am, amazing means actually every word of your presentation is really appreciable, and you are, yes, every word in your presentation is more appealing. So actually, means I have no words, and I am a very young to comment in your presentation, ma'am. Amazing. And actually, I salute all the works done by the Prestige Foundation during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are very proud to be associated with the Prestige Management Studies, with the Prestige Management of Institution Devas for this Global Peace and Sustainable Development Summit, Day 10. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. And really, I am very proud of you, ma'am. What have you done and what have you delivered in your presentation, ma'am? Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
So much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Ma'am, could you do some up means yes, now this is better. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now, without wasting time, I would like to request Ankita Singh. Ankita Singh, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So Ankita, now it's your turn. Please proceed.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all. I am Ankita from IMI pursuing BBA. I'm going to present my views on FD Goal 10, which is reduce inequality. It is one of the 17 FD goals established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2015. Firstly, I'm talking about what is meant by reducing inequality in Sustainable Development Goals. These Sustainable Development Goals call for reducing inequality in income as well as those based on age, gender, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic status within a country. The goal also addresses inequalities among countries, including those related to representation, migration, and development assistance. Reduce inequality within and among countries. Reducing inequalities and ensuring no one is left behind are integral to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Inequality within and among countries is a persistent cause for concern, despite some positive signs towards reducing inequality in some dimensions, such as reducing relative income inequality in some countries and preferential trade status benefiting lower income countries. Inequality still persists. COVID-19 has deepened existing inequalities, hitting the poorest and most vulnerable communities the hardest. It has put a spotlight on economic inequalities and fragile social safety nets that leave vulnerable communities to bear the brunt of the crisis. At the same time, social, political, and economic inequalities have amplified the impacts of the pandemic on the economic front. The COVID-19 pandemic has significantly increased global unemployment and dramatically slashed workers' income. Inequalities are also deepening for vulnerable population in countries with weaker health systems and those facing existing humanitarian crises. Refugees and migrants, as well as indigenous people, older persons, people with disabilities, and children are particularly at risk of being left behind. Targets for Sustainable Development Goals. By 2030, progressively achieve and sustain income growth of the bottom 40% of the population at a rate higher than the national average. By 2030, empower and promote the social, economic, and political inclusion of all irrespective of age, gender, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, or economic or other status. Ensure equal opportunity and reduce inequalities of outcome, including by eliminating discriminatory laws, policies, and practices, and promoting appropriate legislation, policies, and action in the regard. Adopt policies, especially fiscal, based, and social protection policies, and progressively achieve greater equality. Improve the regulation and monitoring of global financial markets and institutions, and strengthen the implementation of such regulation. Facilitate safe, regular, and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of planned and well-managed migration policies. Implement the principle of special and differential treatment for developing countries, in particular least developed countries, in accordance with World Trade Organization agreements. Our approach to reduce these inequalities. We must have to understand its causes and consequences, which can be complex and deeply rooted in social, economic, political, environmental systems and resources. We support action to empower women and create opportunities for youth and disadvantaged communities, increase economic inclusion and higher income, enhance social service and ensure access to social protection, facilitate safe migration and mobility and tackle irregular migration, encourage domestic resource mobilization and stimulate public and private sector development. The human rights of all people must be protected and respected. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you very much, dear. Thank you very much for your participation in the Global Peace and Sustainable Development Summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Dear, would you like to do this again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Great, dear. So thank you very much for your optimistic participation. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Okay. So without wasting time, now I would like to call Harshita. Harshita, are you ready? Harshita? Harshita, are you ready? Harshita Kanungo? Harshita, you are a co-host now, so I think there is no problem with that.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible to you now?
Yes, yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Please proceed, dear.
Yeah. Let me begin by saying good morning to all the dignitaries present over here. Hi, this is Harshita Kanungo, a student of MBA second sem from Prestige Institute of Science and Management. So I'm here to give my presentation for UNESCO's 10th goal for sustainable development, that is inequality. So yeah, let me present my screen. Yeah, as we all know that UNESCO stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, which aims to reduce the gender-based violence between the, gender-based violence so that we can reduce the inequality. So I'm going to start my presentation. If we are talking about inequality, so firstly, we know that what does inequality mean, right? So yeah. Inequality means the state of not being equal, especially in status, rights, and opportunities. The major example of inequality include income gap, gender inequality, healthcare, and social class. So, and if we talk that why does it matter? So we can say that everyone deserves the same chance to get a good education, right? Work at decent job and obtain quality healthcare. Inequality impedes economic growth. So equality is really matters in everyone's life. Coming to my next point, that is importance of equality. See, when everyone is treated equally, we can do equally the same things like go to school, learn about the world, use our skills to get jobs and feel safe and respected. Life is good when people are treated equally. When we were born, we all are unique. Different experience shape who we are. We develop our own belief and talent. These differences make our world more interesting and help us to grow and learn each other. But differences and inequalities can divide us. In some countries, only men are allowed to vote. Other religion factors are banned. People with lots of money are able to buy big houses, but people living in the poverty can't pay for a basic need like food, housing, and healthcare. So now I'm going to share one of my example related inequality, and I think Malala's example is one of the best. So if we talk about education inequality, the good news is that we all have the power to reduce inequality, but we cannot do that. No one is trying to understand the concept, and no one is here to raise the voice against the inequality. But when girls were forbidden to go to school, Malala used her voice to raise awareness. She wrote a blog about her experience and shared it with the world. As a result of her actions, girls were able to learn by celebration diversity, by promoting peace and tolerance, educating people about culture. We can reduce the inequalities and make the world a better place. So I think Malala's example is best to understand the concept of inequality and to raise a voice against it. Furthermore, I want to let you know that why is inequality an important issue? If we talk about this topic, that why it is an important issue, inequality threatens long-term social and economic development. It harms poverty reduction and destroys people's sense of fulfillment and self-worth. This in turn can breed crime, diseases, and environmental degradation. Coming to my next point, if we talk about views of racial inequality, we all know that racial inequality in the United States identifies the social inequalities and disparities that affect different races with the United States. So this can also be seen as a result of historic obsession, inequality of inheritance, or racism and prejudice. Especially race or ethnicity, say blacks are treated less against the majorities. Most adults, regardless of race and ethnicity, say blacks are less treated fairly than the whites. So it encounters with the policy and by criminal justice system. So we must have to raise a voice against this as well. Now I would like to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. I think you all have heard about it, that there was a movement called Black Lives Matter. I think that is also a very brilliant example, which merely asks the society to acknowledge the disparities faced by African Americans and the fact that their lives are valued less than other demographic groups. Not that Black lives should not be valued more than others, but sparked outcry from people who likely don't understand that Black Americans have injured centuries. My last point is, why is inequality bad for society? Inequality is bad for society as it goes along with weaker social bonds between people, which in turn makes health and social problems more likely. Lastly, I would like to say you this, that what do we need to do? How can we reduce the inequalities within and among the countries? So there are fewer steps. Firstly, we can do that, adopt legislation that protect the rights of all regardless of their gender, race, and ethnicity. Next, we all can do is we have to promote economic inclusion and enable people with disabilities to fully contribute to the society. Next, we can do that, ensure the developing countries are better represented in global decision making so that solutions are more effective and credible as well. Lastly, I would like to show you that how do we reduce inequality? We can ensure equal opportunity and reduce inequalities of outcome, including by eliminating discriminatory laws, policies, and practices, and by promoting appropriate legislation, policies, and action in this regard. So that was my first point to discuss about. But one more thing I would like to say that firstly, thank you so much for listening to me. But before I could say anything, firstly, I would like to share a message with you that if we can, firstly, if we want to reduce the inequality, firstly, we have to prepare our own, that we cannot be a part of inequality. Firstly, we have to stop it from ourselves. So I think that would be a good message, that we have to start from our own. We cannot depend on the government policies so that they can do something, then we will do that. If we can start from our own, I think that would be a great. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you very much for your precious words. Actually, means you are very young to talk about the reduced inequalities, but still you presented it very well manner, and all the quotes, all the datas, including the Malala Yousafzai, you presented here is a very in a very systematic manner. I must say in a very systematic manner. So thank you very much, dear, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Dear, could you stop sharing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I am giving you a spotlight.
Okay.
Yes. I think your camera is now switch off.
Yeah, just.
Yes. I'm giving you spotlight. Just hold on. Would you like to do this gesture?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Thank you
dear,
so
for
much, ma'am.
joining us. Thank you. Okay. So without wasting time, I would like to invite Sanskar. Sanskar, are you there? Sanskar Shiboto.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible
Yes.
right now?
Yes. You are loud and clear audible. So please welcome this handsome guy. Okay. Please proceed, dear. Please proceed.
A very good afternoon to all the respected dignitaries present here. I am Sanskar Srivatho from Indore Management Institute, India. Namaste. First of all, I would like to thank the United Nations Department of Sustainable Development and the Witty Gossips team for allowing me this opportunity to share my thoughts on reducing inequality at this stage. I'm really honored. So I would like to start with a story of a boy from South Africa who stood against his university management, as anyone else would have done, as he witnessed, as he saw unequal and racist treatment of them towards the student of his community, and as a consequence, he was expelled from there. Later on, he was sent to jail for 27 years for taking part in various movements for eradicating inequality. And at the age of 75, he became the first independent president of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, he was none other than the great Mr. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Or let me tell you another story of a woman from India who was so much passionate towards teaching that she opened her own, the first modern school for women in India. But since at that time we were living in a male-dominant society, and she was from a lower caste, the people of the community and her own family members humiliated her with inhuman acts to stop this revolution. And it is quite heartbreaking to know that she used to carry an extra sari with her on her way to school, because people of the village used to, pelt stones and even sometimes human feces on her. But her determination and continued efforts, she became the first female teacher of India and was able to teach thousands of girls. She was none other than Srimati Savitribai Phule. Now, if we dig deep inside world history, we will find plenty examples of individuals who have been fighting for years for eradicating inequality. But the bitter truth is that still in the present world, we can notice inequality on various parameters like income, gender, race, etc. Even the data collected from 44 countries for the period of 2014 to 20 shows that every 1 in 5 people experience discrimination on at least one of the grounds that are prohibited under international human rights law. Sadly, the pandemic we witnessed recently worsened the situation. So to solve these issues and achieve desired results till 2030, as the UN goals aim for, it is indeed really important to frame proper policies, but it is also very important to check that proper implementation of these policies are done, and especially on the ground level. And what we can do on individual level is that we can incorporate the feeling of togetherness and understand that we are all on similar ground and are created by the Almighty or the universe to be together without any differences. We all might have done this in our childhood. We used to do this activity in night. We used to look up at the stars twinkling in the sky, and we used to try connecting them and try to make something out of it, like the first letter of our name or any wheel, right? I hope you all remember that. So the point of this example is that we can make anything out of them, but only by joining them. But if we couldn't put them together, so though they are beautiful, but only twinkling stars in the end. So in the end, I would like to end my speech with a small shloka from my land in Sanskrit, which goes like, Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani paschyantu, ma kaschat dukh bhad bhavet, which means, may everyone be happy, everyone be free from all disparities, may everyone see good in everything, and no one be unhappy. So thank you so much for your valuable time and attention. Namaste.
Dear, please do this again.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Amazing, amazing. Wow, what a wonderful phrase. Sarve bhantu, sarve, again, I'm.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah.
Yes, sarve bhavantu sukhina. Would you like to translate it?
Yes, ma'am. It means may everyone be happy, may everyone be free from all disparities, may everyone see good in everything, and no one be unhappy.
Amazing, amazing, dear, amazing. What a great thought. Actually, yes, we live in India, and I am living in the cleanest city of the India, Indore, which is situated in a central India. Yes, you are also. So actually, this is only possible when we try to achieve the targets of the reduced inequality, which is the Sustainable Development Goal 10. So yes, so your little efforts to educate about the reduced inequalities to all our young minds, to all our members of the Witty Gossip Association is really, really commendable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So without wasting time, now I would like to call Yashika Jadhav. Yashika, are you there? Yashika, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes, dear. Now it's your turn. All the best.
Namaste to everyone. I'm a proud Indian and I'm proud to be a prestigious. I would like to thank Witty Gossip for this honor, and let me share my slides. Okay. So my topic for today is Goal 10, reduce inequality, to reduce inequality within and among countries. So before starting, I would like to add one discrimination part of my own. That is, we are three sisters and I'm the elder one. I have two younger sisters. On my birth, my father is too much happy. And on the birth of my younger sister, that is the last sister, my grandparents have cried that we need a boy. After my birth, my father don't want any other child, but my grandparents forced him that one boy we need. Second one also was a girl. Again, they forced to have a boy. Then again, there is a girl child. But today, my father is too much proud of we three. So if we need a change, we cannot discuss or say anything. We have to change first ourselves. The world will only change when we will change ourselves. Discrimination. First discrimination I would like to tell is gender inequality. Girl and boy, they both are equal, but why so? Why they are discriminated? Girls are equally, sorry, am I audible?
Yes, dear, you are audible. No issue.
Girls should be treated equally as boys. Reduce inequality. First, why does it matter? Everyone deserves the same chance to get a good education, work at decent jobs, obtain quality healthcare. Inequality impedes economic growth. Equality improves social solidarity and increase sustainable prosperity. What's driving inequality? Enriched culture, narratives, failure to invest in and protect vital public goals, unequal access to government, unfair rules of the economy, persistent prejudice and discrimination. The targets that have been set to reduce inequalities. Reduce income inequalities. By 2030, progressively achieve and sustain income growth of the bottom 40% of the population at a rate higher than the national average. Promote universal social, economical, and political inclusion. By 2030, empower and promote the social, economic, and political inclusion of all irrespective age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status. Adopt fiscal and social policies that promote inequality. Adopt policies especially fiscal, wage, social protecting policies, and progressively achieve greater equality. Improve regulation of global financial market and institutions. Improve the regulation and monitoring of global financial market and institution and strengthen the implementation of such regulations. India has achieved almost 70% in reducing inequality. Inequality takes many forms in larger and diverse countries like India. I would like to thank the government of India that we have achieved so much in the pandemic. The first, promoting income growth. While pursuing economic growth, India has adopted a range of measures to increase the income of people in situation. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Schemes plays a major role in guaranteeing income at least 100 days in years for rural households. A comprehensive strategy to double the farmers' income by 2020 is being implemented across the country. A direct income transfer scheme, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Nidhi, specifically support and migraines farmer to the tune of INR 6,000 annually. In the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, India's response include a USD 279 billion economic packages, health coverage for frontline workers, and direct cash transfer for the most vulnerable, including unemployment protection for job losses and income support through Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Promoting equality of opportunities and outcome. The right to free and compulsory education RT Act 2002 seeks to ensure equality of education, one of the key determination of human development by entitling all children aged years to fundamental rights to education. The Samagra Shiksha program integrates all aspects of education from pre-primary to secondary levels and seeks to materialistic all children's rights to equal education. There has been significant improvement in enrollment and retention at elementary and secondary levels. Designing spatial development programs. A government of India has developed too many programs for the development. Targeted programs for social groups in vulnerable situations have been designed and improve the sectors of education, health, livelihood, skills, entrepreneurship, and financial inclusions. Other Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, support to training and employment programs for women, Deen Dayal Rehabilitation Scheme for persons with disability are some of the examples. Other initiative includes education, scholarship, coaching, guidance, livelihood. Empowering through financial inclusion. There has been a massive mobilization of 67 million rural women into 6.1 million entrepreneurship-based secondary group. The Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana supports entrepreneurs by providing credit to micro and small groups. How we can tackle inequality in India? Make inequality a political campaign issue, introduce land reforms and raise taxation for the wealth, give a voice to oppressed group, improve the balance of mass media, eliminate caste discrimination, harness the power of technology, widen access to quality-based services, make women more visible in public life institutions, ensure that India's growth is for the benefit of many or not for the few, make development inclusive or those with disabilities, challenge the growth agenda, stop the blame game. At last, I would like to add a phrase, a nation will not survive morally or economically when so few have so much and so many have so little.
Great, dear, great. Thank you very much for your beautiful presentation. Thank you. Dear, could you stop the sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I am giving you, please switch on your camera. Yeah, I am giving you spotlight. Would you like to do this?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your thoughtful presentation, dear. Thank you. Okay. So, Dr. Parul Sharda, all the students have done? Dr. Parul Sharda, yes. Okay. I would like to request technical team, please make co-host Dr. Parul Sharda. So, Dr. Parul Sharda, I think all the students have done. Okay. Yes, now all us students have done. And here is a message from the Christiana that amazing students, Dr. Parul Sharda. Yes, Dr. Parul Sharda, your students are really amazing, really amazing. Yes. And here I must say Dr. Ashima Joshi with us. Dr. Ashima Joshi, your students from the Prestige Institute of Management Devas are also amazing. Amazing. Here, I would like to mention that the Sparsh Garg, I think Sparsh Garg or Sparsh Goyal.
Goyal, Sparsh Goyal.
Yeah, Sparsh Goyal. Yes, Sparsh Goyal is a very his presentation is very informative and full of enthusiasm, full of energy, full of positive vibes. So thank you very much, Dr. Parul Sharda and Dr. Asima Joshi, for preparing your students in such a broad manner, in such a very systematic manner to represent the Sustainable Development Goal 10, reduced inequalities. Thank you very much. So, before leaving the meeting, I would like to request Christiana. Christiana, would you say something about the students' presentation?
Hello, good morning, good day. I'm so proud to be here and listen all this young mind as Ait, Sparish, Ashima, Akita, Harish, Harshita, Sangsar, Yakshia. Increasing quality, healthcare, education, people's work, livelihoods, labor market. They take every moment of our lives to see what is the inequality, and that is so important to wake up our mind and think about all this. And for young people, it's important to not be in a taboo or not speak about it. It's important to speak and recognize where it is in our life. And most powerful world is the world is one family and be the change. And wait a minute, Spanish said absence of proper system. Yes, if we don't have proper system, we can, but we can help each other together, join together and make the change. Thank you for joining, Dr. Supriya Patak. Thank you for joining us in Witty Gossip and make the change here. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Christiana. Thank you. Actually, like-minded people, intellectual people like you, make this Global Peace Sustainable Development Summit a grand success. So, thank you, dear Nada. Thank you, dear Christiana, for your valuable inputs. For you are adding some beautiful notes with the students' presentation. So, this makes some kind of inspiration, some kind of motivation for all the students. Thank you, dear Nada. Thank you, dear Christiana. Again, thank you, Dr. Ashima Joshi. Thank you, Dr. Parul Shada. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, all the students of the Expressions English. Yes, here we have a little young mind. Again, Siddharth Chaurasia. Every day, Siddharth wants to speak. Every day. Yes, Siddharth, please, I would like to request technical team, please make co-host Siddharth Chaurasia. Actually, every day Siddharth wants to say something. Okay. Yes, dear Siddharth. You are a co-host now. You can speak now.
Hello, everyone.
Hello? Yes. Okay. What do you want to say?
1 minute.
Okay. Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes. Yes. Perfectly.
That's good. We all deserve to live in a world where everyone is treated equally, regardless of our gender, age, and ethnicity, our religious beliefs, and economic status, or where we live. Equality gives everyone access to a level playing field to live the life straight of living, and we all have a role to play in helping the India reduce equality by the year 2030. India reduce inequality by the year 2030. Inequality exists among individuals. The richest 1% of people on the earth own half of the world wealth. That what if that wealth was distributed among more people? It would make life better for the bottom 40% of the global population who subsist on the meager incomes, and they are often discriminated against because they are poor. Inequality also exists among nations. Developed countries like Germany, the largest economy in the years, are considered to be more influences show on the global stage because it has strong trade like links with other powerful countries and is a number of powerful international organizations like NATO and Group 20. Inequality has existed for centuries. Great nations were built on the back of slaves. Men, women, and children were bought in market by powerful people who considered them commodities, not people. Inequality can be a gender issue when women are paid less than the male co-workers. When ethnic minorities are unfair targeted by police just because of the color of their skin. Progress is being made. The companies worldwide are committing the religious equalities to workplace by protecting the rights of Muslim employees to wear the hijab during the work hours. Yes, sir. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Siddharth. Actually, your little efforts are seen by our guest speakers, Christiana, Dr. Parul Sharda, and Nada. And yes, your little efforts are much appreciated. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much for each and every time you are means with the great enthusiasm join the meeting and presenting your views. It's a really appreciable. Thank you, dear. Thank you. And here I can see the message of Shilpi Upadhyay ma'am. Amazing, my lovely child Siddharth. Amazing, dear. Amazing. So it's now the time to say goodbye. And I would like to request technical team, please, and